Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier, they're called the golden goose of demographics, what it takes to lure in millennials. Plus robotic surgery, saving money and time, and happening now at a local hospital. And following Marty's lead, making dreams come true for the Dragonfly Foundation. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Allison Burke in for Peg Rusconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, move over baby boomers. At 75 million strong, millennials are becoming the largest living generation. And they aren't just another demographic. Cincinnati and other cities are in a frantic competition to win over the generation. Millennials have unprecedented buying power, $200 billion in direct and $500 billion in indirect spending. And their peak buying years are still ahead. Millennials are 18 to 34, and they're transforming Cincinnati and the nation. Agenda 360 is a Cincinnati, USA Regional Chamber of Commerce program to grow jobs and convince young professionals to stay here. Current data shows our region isn't doing enough to attract millennials. Agenda 360 has launched a suite of programs to help them with everything from leadership skills to making friends.
In terms of programming to attract and retain young professional talent, we have a great program called SYNC, which is the Cincinnati Intern Network Connection. It was created out of our Sea Change program, which is our young professional development program, in 2013. And what that is it's for interns, summer interns, that are with us here in Cincinnati. And while they're here, we plan 3 events. It'll actually be 4 this year, though, to get them to fall in love with Cincinnati.
A consultant specializing in marketing to millennials says the importance of this generation cannot be overstated. He says they're the lifeblood of the future. And you can read more about what Cincinnati is doing to attract this demographic in the Business Courier print edition. The Federal Aviation Administration is proposing new guidelines regarding the use of drones. The proposed rules include that operators must be certified, can only fly during daylight, and can only fly within their line of sight. That's big news for companies everywhere, but especially Cincinnati's AMP electric vehicles. The company hopes to sell its drones to delivery companies, a story we first told you about last November. AMP CEO Steve Burns says he's shocked that the proposed rules seem to actually lower the bar for commercial drone use. Good Samaritan Hospital is the first in Cincinnati to use an expensive surgical robot to perform minimally invasive procedures. Only 8 Magellan robots are in use nationwide. A robotic arm attached to it allows doctors to have greater control when guiding catheters through blood vessels to treat issues like aneurysms and arterial disease. It also speeds up procedures by about 20%, and that's not the only benefit.
Yeah, so the benefits are, there's quite a few. It's less radiation for the patient, it's quicker procedural times for the patient, and oftentimes we're able to treat patients minimally invasive with the robotic system that typically folks would need open surgery for their condition.
Muck says the Magellan is used by neurosurgeons and interventional radiologists as well as vascular surgeons. The Business Courier recently announced the winners of its 18th annual Healthcare Heroes Awards. This year's Lifetime Achievement Award winner is Dr. Elvin Crawford, retired director of orthopedic surgery at Cincinnati Children's Medical Center and professor emeritus of orthopedic surgery at UC Health. Crawford spoke to the crowd of 400 guests about the importance of mentors in his life and how he overcame prejudice in the segregated South to pursue medicine. But medicine was not the path he originally pursued in college.
I majored in music. I'd been a musician since the 7th grade and had played really well at a club one night. My brother said, boy, you know, you're going to be really fortunate because there are a lot of the high school band directors who are retiring. And I thought about it. I loved my high school band director as well as my father. However, I did not want to be a high school band director. He said, well, have you thought of something? I said, well, I love challenges. He said, well, what about being a doctor? That's a challenge. I said, I hadn't thought about it. And so then I said, well, let's think about it, and went from there.
And he certainly did go from there. For a full list of Healthcare Hero winners, be sure to visit the Business Courier's website. The largest locally based accounting firm is settling in well 1 year after a major merger. Clark Schaefer Hackett finished the acquisition with J.D. Cloud. Clark Schaefer Hackett is the largest locally based and fourth largest overall accounting firm in Cincinnati, according to the Courier's book of lists. Despite the challenges that come from growth, President Carl Coburn says the merger was worth it.
It can be the most important transaction that a company does when they merge up into a larger company. So it takes time, a lot of effort, a lot of resources, and a lot of patience. But if you do it right and you do it well, it can be the greatest thing to help a firm grow and succeed.
Coburn says a generational shift is contributing to an increase in mergers. As baby boomers approach retirement, many acquired firms have determined mergers are the most effective way to continue quality service to clients. A Cincinnati private equity firm has raised a $100 million fund that it calls the largest ever raised locally, with money purely from high net worth people. Hauser Private Equity, based in Kenwood, wrapped up fundraising December 31st. Chairman Mark Hauser says he had a goal of $100 million for the fund a little more than a year ago. This is the second Hauser Private Equity Core Fund the firm has raised. The first brought in $44 million in 2010. A controversial project in Milford has been defeated. City Council voted against the Milford on Main project this week. Real Estate Ventures Capital wanted to buy the former Milford Main Middle School and turn the property into an apartment complex. Opponents say the building would have been too big, casting a shadow over their homes and creating more traffic. But they're not opposed to developing the land in the future.
We're not stopping here. I think that any developer that's going to see knows that the community that's going to be there watching their decision, what they do with the property. And I am very, very confident, and I truly believe somebody's going to step up that's going to do the right thing, that's going to fit best for the residents, the city, and the school board.
Many opponents hope plans will now turn toward developing the property into a playground with green space. The oldest fine art gallery in Cincinnati is sold. Laura Miller Gleason and Gary Gleason, who took over Miller Gallery in 2000 after its original owner, Norman Miller, died, have sold the Hyde Park venue to Jane Menke. Menke owns Artonomy, Inc. Miller Gleason says she's excited to pass the gallery along to someone who shares her same passion and is confident Menke will continue its commitment to showcasing fine art in a friendly and approachable environment. The Dragonfly Foundation is embarking on a plan to make a dream come true. It's a nonprofit for kids and young adults dealing with a serious illness, providing distractions from the emotional, physical, and financial toll of cancer and bone marrow transplants, as well as the post-traumatic stress associated with the diagnosis. You may remember when Reds broadcaster Marty Brenneman shaved his head in 2013 as part of a fundraiser for Dragonfly. Now, the group is raising money to create a new space for its headquarters, 200 apartments, a boutique hotel, and shared community amenities like a clubhouse, walking trails, and water features. 50 of the apartments will be set aside as short-term housing for Dragonfly families. Builder Dan DiStefano, a Dragonfly board member, has assembled a team of some of Cincinnati's most respected designers, builders, and developers to come up with a plan. The development is expected to cost between $25 and $30 million and the first of its kind in the U.S. And we couldn't resist a mention of the cold weather. It's not all bad, though. Some businesses are booming right now because of this streak of cold and snow. The owner of the Norwood La Rosa's, Jim Von Haney, says he's cut more pizzas than he can count. Cooks and delivery drivers are working overtime, and at one point, the store was so busy, they had to stop accepting orders just to keep up.
It's pizza crazy time. It's just like a Super Bowl every time it snows or rains.
It's not that bad. I mean, as long as you dress warm for it, that's the only thing you got to do is just dress warm.
Whitaker says people tend to tip better when it's cold out, saying they feel bad. But she says they're just keeping her in a job. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, these strong words from former P&G head Bob McDonald that had thousands of you clicking on our website. Hear what he had to say. And from red speedster to pitchman, find out who wants Billy Hamilton. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media. Huge hits on the story about Bob McDonald, former CEO of Procter & Gamble and now Secretary of the troubled U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. He's returning fire after taking flack from a member of Congress. McDonald noted his executive experience at Cincinnati-based P&G during a heated budget meeting in Washington. Representative Mike Hoffman, a Colorado Republican, accused McDonald of glossing over problems. Here's McDonald's reaction.
If you want, I'll give you my cell phone tonight and you can answer some of the calls and see if I'm making a difference for veterans and see what they say. Or go on the websites, see what the veterans are saying on the websites. Ask the VSOs in the next group.
The fundamental challenge.
I've run a large company, sir.
The fundamental challenge.
And back at P&G, steam to run one of the company's largest paper manufacturing plants will soon be created by using peanut and pecan shells, treetops, and mill waste such as sawdust. P&G announced that a $200 million biomass cogeneration plant, now under construction in Georgia, will significantly increase the Cincinnati-based company's use of renewable energy. A Cincinnati eatery is the best restaurant in Ohio. That's according to a new list from Business Insider. Chef David Falk's Boca, located here in the old Masonette space on 6th Street, was named the best in the Buckeye State for its French-Italian fare. The picks were based on several rankings, including expert reviews and local recommendations. A Cincinnati startup company that has shifted its marketing from a hangover cure product to a fast hydration drink is trying to re-sign Cincinnati Reds speedster Billy Hamilton as its spokesperson. Hoist was first launched by 4 Cincinnati high school buddies 6 years ago. You can buy it at Kroger, Walgreens, and several convenience stores. It's also the official drink of Summit Country Day School, where the founders graduated. Boy, doesn't that video just conjure up dreams of warm weather and baseball? But first, another spring ritual. W-2s and 1099s are rolling in so that we can do our taxes. Joining us for this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360 is Senior Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mindy McLaughlin. She joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon. Mindy has some insight to help guide us through a financial checkup. Mindy, Kelly.
Thanks, Allie. I wish we had done this last week, Mindy. I actually did this week.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, this is, yeah, not fun.
No, it's good.
It's good. The first question, which I should have asked you last week, what do you need to pull together to get this going?
Sure. I think this is a great time of year to put together what's called a personal financial statement. It's really a picture of, your total financial picture, looking at all of your investments and assets and loans and kind of calculating, well, what are you worth and how are you doing? Are you making any progress year over year?
Yeah.
And I think this is something you should do every year so you can track your progress. And really what you need to pull together would be all of your bank statements, investment statements, your retirement planning information. Of course, we need to give ourselves credit for our houses and our cars. Those are assets. And then on the loan side, list everything, unfortunately. Credit card balances left over from Christmas and any kind of car loans, mortgage loans, and then assets minus liabilities equals your net worth. So it's a good time to do this.
Yeah, well, I wish I would have known this last week. Honestly, I've got to go back and redo some things. When you're looking at your bank accounts, any rules of thumb as to how much cash you should be keeping in them?
There is a rule of thumb. There's kind of a range. We usually recommend that you have at least 6, maybe even up to 9 months worth of your monthly bills set aside in a liquid account, a money market, a savings account, something like that. What you don't want to have happen is the market to go south and you have to all of a sudden sell to raise some cash. So I think it's important to have, a nice supply of liquidity.
What about investments?
Investments, this is a great time to kind of aggregate all of your investments, whether that be taxable or non-taxable accounts, and really look at, how are you invested? What do you own in terms of stocks, bonds, cash, and then even within that, subsectors, like how much international do you have and that type of thing. Because as we've talked about before, the markets don't all move in lockstep. Some areas do better than others, and you need to make sure you're focused on what your risk tolerance is. If you're a little more conservative and the stocks have run up, this might be a good time to trim some of that and redeploy to more conservative assets.
And then what about things like retirement and loan and debt, that sort of thing?
Sure.
How should we be looking at that?
Yeah, there's two areas. As far as the retirement side of things, what I often say is, take a look at what you're currently having deducted from your paycheck to go into your 401k, for example, and try to up that if you can. Try to increase that amount. And certainly as you turn 50 or older, the government allows you to defer more, and so I think it's very important to try to continue to do that. And also I think it's important to look at how will your investments be or how will that cash be invested?
Right.
Your future contributions. People often forget about that, and so a lot of plan advisors will come on site to where you work and help you, guide you through that. As far as on the loan side of things, and this is a big one, what you really want to focus on here is any interest that you're paying for loans, is that tax deductible? And obviously credit card debt, those tend to be the higher interest rate type things that aren't deductible. Car loans many times aren't. And really, if you look at the real estate market's improved over the last few years, and so a lot of people are in a better position today, and they may be able to take out a home equity loan and perhaps pay off some of that debt that's at a higher rate or is not deductible, and it may actually free up some cash for you so that you're able to reduce the debt quicker.
Yeah. A lot to take in quickly. You have a couple of websites that you recommend that we check out.
Absolutely. I think it's important to look at your credit report. There's a site, annualcreditreport.com. We don't want any identity theft problems. Mint.com is another site to help you with cash flow, and with the goal of really getting organized and setting those goals and achieving them.
All right, I'll be checking those out.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of other folks will be too.
Great.
Thanks so much, Mindy.
Good luck. Thanks.
Ali, back to you.
Great advice. Thank you, Kelly. Mindy. Still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, a very special film festival is opening this month in Cincinnati. We'll have a preview. And congratulations to Paris Parker, Director of Learning and Development at Macy's Incorporated, another of our 40 Under 40 honorees. In this morning's Business Insight, Cincinnati is preparing to host the second largest film festival in the U.S., focused on movies that highlight what it's like to have a disability. The Real Abilities Film Festival, which started in New York, is Cincinnati's largest film festival. Runs from February 27th through March 7th with 30 screenings and events across the region. The event is expected to bring more than a dozen VIPs, including Academy Award-winning actress Marlee Matlin. Real Abilities chairwoman Kathleen Kale joins Business Courier editor Rob Dowmeyer in the studio to talk about why the event is so big and so popular. Rob, Kathleen?
Thank you very much. And Kathleen, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
Appreciate it. So, great question. One that I'm really curious about. Why is this such a big deal? And why is it such a big deal in Cincinnati?
So, right now in the nation, the statistics tell us that about 20% of all people experience disability. Wow. So when you think about that, and when you think about the autism numbers, it's about 1 in 55, I think, boys will be born on the autism spectrum. Everybody knows somebody. Either you know someone personally in your family, or you have a friend or neighbor who has somebody in their family who experiences a disability. And I think in Cincinnati what happens is, we're 6 degrees of separation away from everybody.
Right.
So the popularity of this film festival is that everybody's talking to each other. And it doesn't take a lot for an entire neighborhood or community to get behind something like this, because we all know each other, we all share, we all look out for each other.
So none of these events can happen, we know this at the Courier, without sponsors, without organizers. Tell us a little bit about who's organizing, who the official organizer is of the event, and also sponsors.
Right, so the event itself is organized by Living Arrangements for the Developmentally Disabled. LAD is what it's referred to. And they took over the film festival in 2014. So the National Film Festival is now run here out of Cincinnati, and we're really excited that we are now the headquarters for the film festival. We have the national field agent here who works on all the other festivals. It's in 12 other cities. So LAD is the organizer of the film festival, but really what makes this happen is all the tremendous sponsors we hire. The presenting sponsor is Macy's, and we are also sponsored by Fifth Third Banks, the Cincinnati Enquirer, Q102, a host of other, Dinsmore, a host of other sponsoring agencies. And it's a broad spectrum, as you can see, law firms, retailers, so it's great. We have a lot of support in the community.
So you talk about businesses that are really putting their money where their mouths are here, really want this to happen. We were talking a little bit earlier about how some of our, especially our bigger companies in town, are really way out in front on rights of workers, and even more than that. So talk a little bit about what you refer to as affinity groups before.
Right. So another reason why businesses are supporting this is that many of the largest companies in our community have affinity work groups, and these affinity work groups focus on people who are employed by them who experience disability. And so businesses have a vested interest in helping the community embrace people with disabilities. It allows them to then find employees and work with companies like LAD who can help employees to find jobs with them. So it makes perfect sense that businesses would be involved, and these affinity work groups show the interest that companies have.
Well, good luck with the festival. I'm so happy that it's now based here, and it sounds like this is something that takes up a ton of your time,
yes,
but in a good,
but in a good way. That's right. Great outcome.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And back to you.
Rob, Kathleen, thank you. And again, to find out more about the Real Abilities Film Festival, visit cincyra.org. Thanks for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, visit the Business Courier online and sign up for our daily emails. And you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Our address is cincinnatibusinesscourier.com. I'm Allison Burke. Have a great Sunday.